What it do, everybody? Here with another Godforge video. My last video to the starters was kind of just a live react, so I wanted to take a deeper dive into their kit. And we already got Guan Yu pulled up. Looking at his basic, attacks one enemy, 300% attack for X damage. We don't know X yet, but I believe they said it'll come out during the alpha. And if the target's under drain, then deal additional damage equal to 5% of the target's max HP. During my live react, I kind of dismissed this as it might be okay, might not be, depending on who's immune to drain and who isn't. But in thinking about it a little more, a lot of games of this style have leech, and in most of those games, most bosses aren't immune to leech. So if drain is like leech, this could be a really strong A1 and could be great against bosses and other enemies with a high HP pool. Moving on to his core ability. Attacks all enemies, 400% attack for X damage. That has 25% additional chance to strong hit. And if we just stop there for a sec, it hasn't been confirmed, but I do think a strong hit is going to be different from a critical hit. Just speculation, but I don't think you would have crit rate and crit damage just to have it called a strong hit. And I think 25% additional chance to strong hit is a really cool ability for a starter. They're all of the same affinity, so having that extra 25% chance to strong hit could help when you're the weak affinity in your early game with just your starter, and who knows if you have any other good heroes at the time. And then the last part of the skill is if an enemy is defeated, reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1 turn. And that'll just help you cycle abilities faster. It's currently a 4-turn cooldown, but we don't know what these will scroll down to. Could be a 3-turn cooldown with scrolls, and then you reduce the cooldown. Now it's just a 2-turn cooldown. Could be a real effective turn cycling ability. Now getting into his ult. Costs 1,000 divinity like all the other starters, we'll see. Attacks 120% attack. 4 random enemies for X damage. And it says 4 random enemies, but it can attack the same enemy more than once. Each attack has a 35% chance to place Drain 2 on the target for 2 turns, so he does at least set up his own A1. And again, this is another really strong ability if you are playing against bosses with a high HP pool, and maybe they don't have any minions, so it's just attacking one enemy. You're going to hit that one enemy 4 times, each time with a 35% chance to place Drain 2, and then you can whack them with the A1 for the enemy max HP damage. It's shaping up to be a really good kit if you can inflict Drain on bosses. And also to note, it gains 100 divinity when defeating an enemy. That's just a bonus. It's not the only way to gain divinity. So you don't have to worry about defeating 10 enemies just to get your ult off. There are going to be other ways to get your divinity up. Lastly, his passive does also work off a drain. Deals 20% increased damage to enemies under drain, which, you know, he is a Slayer champion, so the more damage, the better. And here we have Lady Jacques. Basic ability, attack an enemy, 300% attack for X damage, then has a 35% chance to place 1 stack of bleed on the target. A couple things here. Kind of speculated in my live react that bleed is like a poison dot damage type of debuff, but I think the wording's important because she's placing 1 stack of bleed, whereas like Guan Yu's ultimate, for example, said he was placing Drain 2 on enemies. So this appears to be a different debuff where you can stack it instead of just put it on for a certain amount of turns. So it'll be interesting to see if it causes more damage the more stacks, or maybe it's something where the enemy takes more damage because they're quote-unquote more injured because they're bleeding. And it'll just be something interesting to look for in the alpha. Moving on to her core ability. Again, 4-turn cooldown, attacking all enemies, 400% attack for X damage. Also has the 25 additional chance to strong hit. And if an enemy is defeated, places speed up 2 on this hero for 2 turns. A little selfish, only putting the speed up on herself, but this is another interesting test for the alpha, seeing if the speed up 2, how much it speeds her up and how worth it is. Could be great because it goes on for 2 turns versus just an instant effect, like Guan Yu gets an extra turn. And we'll see that Ramses gets a turn meter boost when we get to him. And for her ultimate, she attacks all enemies 2 times, 250% attack for X damage. Each attack has a 35% chance to place 1 stack of bleed on the target. So again, but more chance to stack bleed and, increase the negative effect on the enemies once we find out what it is. And same deal as Guan Yu, 100 divinity when defeating an enemy, but not the only way to gain divinity. And also similar to the other starters, her passive, 20% increased damage to enemies under bleed. So again, the more damage the better. And finally we have Ramses. His basic attack one enemy, 300% attack for X damage, with a 35% chance to place acid on the target for 2 turns. Again, just speculation, but thinking acid is like a poison dot damage debuff. But who knows, maybe poison and acid are both in the game and might have different effects. Another thing to look forward to in the alpha. And his core ability, attack all enemies, 400% attack for X damage. Again, like everyone, 25% additional chance to strong hit. And if an enemy is defeated, increases the turn meter of this hero by 30%. I think this is the weakest of the 3 for the extra bonus, I guess, if you want to call it that. I think just one 30% turn meter boost isn't as useful as a full turn reduction or as speed up for 2 turns. If you think about it, you're not really getting an extra turn, but if you're reducing the cooldown by 1 turn, you have 1 less turn to go to get back to your core ability with Guan Yu. Whereas the 30% turn meter boost, yeah, you're going to get your next turn quicker, but you're not really getting that full extra turn cooldown on your core ability. And with Lady Zoc, you're getting the speed up for 2 turns, so you're boosting that speed for more than just that one little burst. But again, we'll have to test it and see how effective it is. And his ultimate, again, same as everyone else, 1000 divinity. Attacks all enemies for 500% for X damage, with a 75% chance to place acid on each target for 2 turns. Same deal, 100 divinity when defeating an enemy. And that's just a bonus, not the only way to get divinity. And again, we don't know the exact effects of acid, but dot damage is usually real effective in these types of games. So this should be a really strong ability, because not only are you attacking all enemies, but you could be placing a very strong debuff. And same as the others, his passive, 20% increased damage to enemies under acid. Every little bit of damage you can get helps, so just another cool passive. Now that we saw all their skills again, figured it'd be cool to go over their stats that were shown in the video. Obviously everything's still subject to change, so they're not set in stone, but thought it would still be fun to compare. You can see they're all the strength affinity, all Slayer class, obviously all in different factions, but you can see Guan Yu and Lady Zoc are both Order, and Ramses is Chaos. And we still don't know a lot of details on that, but it will be interesting to see how that plays out. If one becomes the favorite choice for starter because of one reason or another. And I forgot to touch on it earlier, but they all have the same leader bonus of 20% attack in all battles, which anytime it's all battles is nice because you can just plug and play and not worry about what part of the game you're in. Now looking at the stats, it seems like Ramses is the stat king. He has the highest attack and defense, highest speed and initiative, and he's just 1 below Lady Zoc for highest accuracy, and he's in the middle of HP. And then Guan Yu looks to be a little tanky. He has the highest HP, he's in the middle for attack and defense, but he is the slowest with the least accuracy as well. And then you have Lady Jacques. She's kind of in the middle or low, with the lowest HP attack defense, middle speed initiative, and she does just beat out Ramses for the top accuracy. Now looking at all these stats, they're really close together, so I don't think anything will be too big of a deal. I don't think anything really makes or breaks, except for speed. You can see Ramses has 96 speed, Lady Jacques is 93, and Guan Yu is only 90. And in games like this, speed is always really critical. So Ramses, with his kit and the speed and high stats, he could be shaping up to be a favorite pick. Personally, I'm still leaning towards Lady Jacques, same as I was during my live react video. I'm just real interested to see how the bleed plays out, and having a 2-time hitter on her ultimate. If there are things like, for example, Raid as a stun set, depending on how it works, if you get 2 hits with 2 chances to stun, I know Raids doesn't work that way, used to before they patched it, but again, if you get 2 hits, 2 chances to stun, could be real effective. Or either way, just having 2 AoEs, I know Ramses does too, but same thing, 2 OAs with a control set could be real effective. I will say, I hope we either get multiple of these champions in the alpha, or maybe if I'm able to make it into multiple, if I'm able to make it into multiple waves, I definitely plan on using a different starter each time, just to test them out and get a feel for all of them. But yeah, that's all I have for this one. Let me know, are you with me? Gonna try out Lady Jacques first? Or are you thinking one of the other heroes? Let me know in the comments down below. Have a good one.